Hi, Mike Brantley, auctioneer, discussing with you today Auctioneers and the Law, Part 4. And previously we talked about the legislator, the legislative branch, if you will, that writes or proposes a bill and creates law on the legislative side. We have the executive branch, whether that be the president and regulatory agencies underneath that, or even a governor with regulatory or administrative bodies underneath that enforce laws. And then we have the judicial branch, the courts, the court system, which interprets law. And we typically say them in that order. In fact, in life, law kind of travels in that order. Starts in the legislature, ends up in the executive branch for enforcement, and then there's a lawsuit or a claim or a filing, or somebody disagrees and petitions or what have you. And then the court typically has the last stand to decide, okay, this is how this law is going to be interpreted or applied in society. And that's our topic today. Case law, as those court decisions are called, the judicial branch. That's where it's at, I'll tell you. You can look at, you can read administrative code, you can read statutory law in a state or federal law. You can see how it's enforced from the regulatory agency, administrative arm, but much more interesting, much more applicable for auctioneers to look at case law to see how courts interpret, where they point these laws, how they see what's fair, equitable, reasonable interpretations of. That's what they do, is interpret law. So I've studied auction case law for a number of years. We teach a class, Auction Verdicts, which is the major cases at the United States Supreme Court and other state Supreme Courts and federal courts, and even some local court decisions where the decision was big. It wasn't at a high level court, but nonetheless an important decision. We talk about those because we think that's the best thing to remember, is the story or context around the case. And secondly, the take home. Here's what you can do to avoid being in that situation. And this is where I differ from some other folks who teach other classes on these same subjects, is you'll find me telling you a case, about a case, the story about it, and saying, and here's how you can avoid being in that same case down the road. Here's how you can avoid being in the same place this auctioneer was in 32 years ago. Do this and do this and do this, and then you won't be here. Now, another way you can teach that content, or another way you can look at case law, is, well, we have this case 32 years ago where an auctioneer was sued and he won. The court said he can do that. He can do that. What he did only cost him $678,000 in legal fees, but he now knows he can do that. And can other auctioneers do that? Maybe. Different court, different state, different circumstances. Almost guaranteed the circumstances are going to be slightly different. And so what's our best advice? See, my advice is, look at this case 32 years ago where this auctioneer did this. I don't care whether they won or lost. The best thing you can do is avoid being in that same situation. The counter argument seems to be, look at this case 32 years ago where this auctioneer eventually prevailed, meaning you can do the same thing. Here's what you can do now. And I think that's terrible advice. Terrible advice. Because you're not going to find yourself in the exact same situation, which means you aren't assured of winning, but you're possibly assured of getting into that court case just like that other auctioneer did. I mean, if you've got a family member that does skydiving and he dives without a parachute, but he happens to land in the water and is rescued and is alive, and you say, well, see, you can skydive without a parachute. He did. Well, that doesn't mean you should be skydiving without a parachute. Even though he survived, would you survive the same fall? And I would guess that maybe even if you think you can, that's not a good bet. So we talk about case law frequently. I'm going to be talking about it with a group in Texas here in a couple of days, and I'm going to tell them this is what happened in court, and here's the best thing you can do: avoid the same situation. Don't behave like this auctioneer did. And inevitably, one of the students, one of the folks in the class will probably say, yeah, but he won, he prevailed. Yeah, the guy landed in water after he fell out of the plane without a parachute. Does that mean you should? It means more likely you shouldn't. So auction case law, big news, big stuff. What have the courts said? How that affects auctioneers in the United States, how that affects the auction industry in the United States. And we're glad to offer that information with some guidance as to how it should be applied in your business day to day to avoid the same situation. Mike Brantley, Auctioneer. Pleasure to be with you today. Other videos on this same page, others forthcoming. Have a great day and stay safe.